Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel. In today's video, you join me for the first drive in the Smart. Now I have driven it before, obviously, to get it home, but it was the first one we've got, first drive we have on the channel. So why not make it its own video? Why not? So for those who don't know, the last video we, or the last video with this car, we announced that we bought a Smart car, and here she is. It's 700 kilos of hilarity and fuel saving man maths, really. The idea was that we could buy and run this car for less than it would cost us to daily drive the Jeep. So it's going to save us an absolute fortune, because this will do 70 to the gallon. It's also LPG, so I'll show a video on that later on. So it's an LPG car as well. So instead of paying £1.60 a gallon for petrol, we'll be paying 83p. I've just found it for at my local LPG place, I suppose. So we're definitely, fingers crossed, going to be saving some money if it's reliable, that is. So it was one of the cheapest in the UK. It's got a few external issues, but overall, mechanically, it seems brilliant, touch wood. And on the interior here, it is immaculate. So let's take it out on an open road. I look ridiculous in it. Everybody looks at me and just laughs. But the joke's on them, because they're still paying full price for fuel in a car that does 40 miles per gallon. I'm doing 70 and paying half price. So you might be able to hear the 0.7 litre engine behind me. As you can see, it accelerates absolutely fine. There's the speed limit. It's a 3-cylinder tiny little motor behind, which has got plenty of go in my book. I don't think I need anything more. It's not too noisy in here. We do have the convertible roof, which doesn't help sound deadening, but actually it's, yeah, so comfortable to sit in as well. And you've got plenty of space, lots of visibility all around you. What more could you want in a car, I'd say? So this one is so early that it doesn't actually have power steering, so the steering is extremely responsive, which just makes the whole thing downright more fun. It literally feels like a go-kart. We've got a semi-automatic single clutch gearbox that is also automatic, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't. So when we put our foot down, I'll show you guys now. I'll put my foot down and we'll get it to change. Well, this isn't foot down, but we'll get it to change gear. There we go, pause, and there we go again. So there's a bit of a delay, so it takes some getting used to, but it is quite funny. Just go over this. It doesn't do bumps very well, the Smart doesn't do potholes, and the gearbox has a mind of its own. Currently the windscreen washers don't work, so we're driving into the sun a bit, but that's okay, isn't it? What's the worst that can happen? And as you can see, it's just a very, very fun, pleasant little car to drive. Now, I've done motorway journey in this car. I drove it 120 miles from Birmingham, where we bought it, central Birmingham, possibly one of the dodgiest car dealers I've ever been to. And I wouldn't have got caught under that tractor's wheel, would I? That could be very painful. That wheel was actually bigger than the car. I don't know if you guys saw that. So I drove it home on the motorway, quite happily cruising around 70 miles an hour, down the M5, M50, good as gold. Didn't use any fuel, it seems. Used about £6 of fuel to do 150 miles. That's what I've done the last few days. So yeah, cost saving is already coming, and it's, yeah, as you can just see, it's just, it is what it is. There's so much space in this thing. I can't, well, you can see how far I can reach. I'm 6'2", probably don't have the longest arms, but it's hilarious. It just is hilarious. Round town, as you can see, it's perfectly suited. It's quite nippy as well. but we'll take you out on some more open roads, because I think that's where I was most surprised by this car. It's just so fun. We've got a rev counter there, a clock as well there. We've got heated seats on this car, air conditioning. We've got our standard smart radio, which is quite a nice touch. And you'll see there the car did a automatic hill hold as well, which was good. So all you do is you put your foot on the brake once. Just going to get blinded here, and it will hold you until you go off again. A bit like Mercedes, really, because this obviously is built by Mercedes. So yeah, I don't know how much the sun's going to play a factor in what you guys can actually see, but it's just, yeah, a brilliant little car. I don't know how many times I can say this. Parking it is an absolute breeze. You can actually park nose in on a parallel parking bay, whereas most cars obviously have to park long ways. You can park in, and 9 times out of 10, oh Jesus, there's a bump. 9 times out of 10, you won't be sticking out. They're designed to be parked in a space like that. So for us at home, it's perfect because we can just park it anywhere, really. As you saw just then, potholes aren't the kindest thing to this car, as I previously mentioned, and that's why you feel like you had your spine shattered, to be honest, when you hit a pothole. But because it's so narrow, look, I can swerve all the way like that in my lane, and I've still got plenty of space, so I can swerve around potholes without putting anybody in danger, which is always good. Don't really want people in danger. But yeah, we'll tip it into this corner here. It leans over but grips well, and there we go, we're out of the corner. Let the gearbox decide what it's going to do, and oof, there we go. And we're going to come out on some more open roads now, and we're going to have some fun taking it through bends, because that's honestly where this car is the best. In where it was the last place it was designed for, fast flowing A-road bends, because it will quite happily hold the speed limit. It will handle like an absolute champ because it's only 700 kilos, and we've got no power steering, so it's really responsive. And we're just going to cruise along out of this 30 zone, past the running club. I hope that I haven't burst a tyre on any of those potholes. I don't think I have. I'd definitely feel it if I had through the no power steering. But in terms of running costs, this thing will do 70 miles per gallon. It costs us £20 a year to tax, £160 for me and Mrs. DL to drive through a shore, and it's just an absolute little hoot, as you can see. So we're sort of going to do it on a basis of whoever does the most miles in a day will take the car. So if I drive, my usual commute's about 40 miles to work, so if Mrs. DL's going to do less than that, or if she's really leaving the house much that day, I'll take this, she'll have the Volvo. Jeep will be sort of for fun drives, weekend drives and off-roading adventures, really, just to keep miles off it and to save us a ton on the fuel bill. So there's 50, and we bring it into the bend here, a bit of bouncing, and there's 60, just like that. And that wasn't even a foot down, to be fair. But you get a little 3-cylinder thrum, like a bike engine. Actually, my dad's Harley, this has got an engine twice the size of this car. So that gives you an idea of what sort of engine we're working with here. So it's quite nice to have an analog clock. That's a nice little addition to the car. Actually, we'll keep going straight on here. It does a little wobble. I don't know if you saw that when you brake hard. I think I need to look at the brake system on that. But what's awesome is you can have fun on roads like this and know that it's not really costing you anything. It really is a car that you can drive full pelt on British roads and not be arrested. It's got a slightly staggered setup front and back, so front tyres are narrower than the rear tyres, which means if you're not careful, you take a bit too much sort of gusto into a bend, it will understeer like a pig, which is hilarious. So it really teaches you a lot about weight balance and getting the weight right before a corner, which I think a lot of cars do for you nowadays. And actually, if everyone drove one of these before or when they were learning to drive, then I think they would probably be a lot better drivers on UK roads. It's just an opinion, of course, but one that's probably right. So there we go. As you see, it's just charges along. And hopefully the road that I want to go isn't shut, but I can guarantee it is. So we just ease onto the brakes, put the weight onto the front left-hand wheel, and just edge through the corner, and it's absolutely fine. There's certainly no risk of oversteer in this thing, the way it's set up, which I think is good considering the size of the wheelbase. Is our road shut? No, I don't think so. Think bike look twice, and we're all good, I think. And look at the turning circle. We can just go round and round this roundabout. No issues whatsoever. It's a random roundabout in the middle of the countryside, so I'm not holding anyone up. And just like that, we're off again. So you can put our foot down. Watch that speedo go. I've got it in manual mode now, and it absolutely flies in manual mode, or I can have it in auto mode, which is now in. And now we'll just have a bit of fun through these bends. Doesn't it sound brilliant as well? Now, a lot of people worry about the safety of these cars, but these actually had a 5-star safety rating. They're better than a lot of Land Rovers and other SUVs at the time. And it's because they've got a steel cage, basically, which doesn't deform no matter how hard you smash it, which is here. And it gives that smart car that traditional silver stripe down the side of it. That's the steel cage, and the rest of the bodywork is plastic, which means that you can change the colour of your smart car without having to change the whole colour of the car. You just buy the panels, and actually the panels are really cheap. We found an entire set of pink smart car panels, £600, which is far cheaper than a wrap or a respray. And I just wonder why these sort of cars didn't take off more, because actually if everybody had enough money to buy a second car, you wouldn't buy anything other than this. This is brilliant. If you live in a city, why would you buy anything else than this? And in the early 2000s, these cars did fantastically. They were selling 200,000 cars a year, and then in 2018 they were down to just 14,000, and people say that, well, they reckon that they'll lose Mercedes 500 million a year, smart brand, with the way it sells now, which I think is an absolute shame, because they're just brilliant little cars. And people have this obsession with driving bigger cars because they think it's safer, but actually yeah, that was good, wasn't it? But see, any other car, that would have been a crash. But in this car, pothole, it would be absolutely fine. And you didn't actually see me, I think, because I was so small. So I'm going to drive my headlights on now, because the headlights on this are really bright. Far brighter than they should be on a car this size, that's for sure. It's like having two suns on the front. So we've got a sharp bend here, so just tip it in the bend, steer, let it grip, let it change gear, there we go, and yeah. It's the most fun I've had driving for a very long time. To be honest, it's probably almost more fun than my MX-5 that I had. It's just, yeah, just an absolute laugh. I drove a Caterham, and it feels similar. You're gonna think I'm talking rubbish now, but it actually feels similar to drive to the Caterham. It's just that sort of responsive, lightweight, and that is the key to a good driver's car. You can try and add all sorts of systems and trickery. You can do all you want with the suspension, but if the car isn't light or responsive, then there's no point. trying. You can't get around that fact. So there's 50, there's 60, and it doesn't feel slow at all. I'm not convinced that this car hasn't had some sort of remap or something, because it's got no right to accelerate and be as fun as it is. It's not a Brabus or anything like that, but it feels like it should be. And I don't think if this is standard, what the Brabus is, there'll be a right laugh to drive. But I'm just on my way to pick Mrs. DL up from work. I've just done the weekly shop. It's all in the back here behind me. I've probably doubled the way to the car. Yeah, as you can see, on a lovely summer's eve or spring evening, what better car? If only the roof worked, we'd be having, yeah, wind in the hair. You can just imagine. It's not quite Sean Connery going through the Alps, but it's pretty close. I'll probably have more fun, and I'll be closer to my lady. So, what more could you want, really? And yeah, you just fit in spaces you've got no right to fit in. I just went to the local LPG station, and they blocked it off with concrete barriers that they do every night to stop people going and stealing the LPG, obviously. But I just drove round them. I fitted through the gap, and there we were. Obviously, I didn't steal any LPG. I just went and had a look at what the price was. And see if they're still selling it, because the thing is about LPG nowadays is that it's fallen out of favour with a lot of people. I think it's a real shame, because a lot of people nowadays, with the price of fuel, are probably wishing they'd worked a bit harder on it, or a few more people had adopted it so that it'll be more readily available. But I'm going to end this video here, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below, what your thoughts of the Smart are. Am I about to die, or is it a sensible buy? Let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.